The house below the lake. I don't remember the name of the town, if it even had one. It was more a cluster of homes scattered along a remote valley somewhere in the north. I found it on a yellowed map tucked between the pages of an old medical journal I bought from a secondhand stall in Cambridge. The journal itself was unremarkable, save for the map and a set of coordinates scribbled in faded ink across the inside cover. Above them, one line, "He only sleeps when we forget." I should have left it alone, but my curiosity has always been my ruin. 2 weeks later, after a long drive on roads that steadily dissolved into gravel and then into moss-covered stone, I arrived. The air was heavy with moisture, thick like breath on a mirror. Fog clung to the ground, refusing to rise, and the trees, thin, brittle things, leaned slightly inward as though eavesdropping. There were houses, yes, but none with signs of life. No lights, no voices, no warmth. Only silence so deep, I began to hear my own blood moving. The lake was the only thing alive. It sat at the center of the valley like a black coin pressed into the earth. Still, absolutely still, not a ripple on its surface, as if it were waiting. That's where I found the house, or rather, the edge of it, a sliver of ancient stone wall jutting from the ground by the lake's shore, covered in moss and carved with symbols that didn't resemble any alphabet I've ever seen. It was more like geometry that had gone wrong. Angles bent inward, curves closed into themselves. I reached out to touch one and felt a faint vibration, like the purr of something asleep. I spent the night in my car. The next morning I returned to the site. The fog had lifted slightly and I saw what I had missed. A hatch, iron, rusted, circular, hidden under dead leaves and lake silt. It was slightly ajar. It took all my strength to lift it. The hinges groaned like something in pain. A stairway descended into the dark, carved directly into the stone beneath the earth. It was narrower than it should have been, tight, almost suffocating. But it pulled me down like gravity had changed direction. There were no lights, only dampness, the smell of stone, and something else. A faint scent, metallic and cold, like old coins or blood that's been washed too many times. I don't know how long I descended. Time folded strangely down there. My flashlight flickered occasionally, though the batteries were new. The walls pulsed with moisture, and at times I thought I heard whispers behind the stone, as if someone were speaking on the other side, in a language not made for mouths. Eventually the stairs ended in a hallway, perfectly carved, sharp-edged, and wrong. I say wrong because it felt inverted. The air didn't move as it should. My footsteps didn't echo. My shadow lagged slightly behind me. And then I found the doors. 3 of them, all identical. Black wood, iron trim, no handles. Only carvings, one on each door. The first had a symbol that looked like an open eye with a crack running through it. The second bore a spiral, endless and descending inward. The third, it was blank, polished smooth like something had wiped it clean. I don't know why, maybe instinct, maybe madness, but I touched the second door, just laid my palm flat against the spiral. It opened soundlessly, and I stepped inside. The room beyond wasn't a room at all. It was a place without shape, where space folded in impossible ways. The floor was there and not there. Walls drifted. The ceiling, if there was one, shimmered like oil on water. My flashlight flickered violently, then died. But I could still see. Not with my eyes. I realized that too late. But with something else inside me. Something that had no business knowing how to see. Shapes moved in the periphery, enormous and slow. Their presence wasn't physical. They were impressions, like the memory of being watched from behind when you're alone. I felt them brushing against the thin veil of my mind. And then, a voice. No, not a voice. A pressure. A suggestion forming words inside my thoughts. "You are early." I tried to run, but I wasn't moving. Or rather, I wasn't where I thought I was anymore. The hallway, the stairs, the earth above, gone. Only the spiral remained, coiling deeper and deeper, and I was caught in its pull. Then something touched me, not physically but with awareness. It reached into the creases of my memory and unfolded me like a map. I felt it examining moments I had forgotten, childhood fears, dreams I'd buried, thoughts I had never dared to speak aloud. "He waits behind the third," it whispered, not as warning, but as fact. And then silence. I awoke outside the hatch. It was sealed shut, and the moss had grown over it as if it had never been opened. My phone said 3 hours had passed. The town was still empty. The lake still glass. I drove back that evening, stopping only for fuel. The next day I returned to Cambridge and tried to forget. I threw the journal into the river. I deleted my notes. I tried to convince myself it was a hallucination brought on by exhaustion and isolation. But then the dream started. Not nightmares, not exactly, just the spiral, spinning slowly, beckoning, and behind it, a door with no mark. Last night I dreamed I opened it. I didn't see what was inside, but I felt it. Awake now, curious, hungry. This morning I found a new note slipped under my apartment door. It was written in the same faded ink as the journal. One line, "You were never meant to return." And if you've heard this, if the spiral found you too, tell me in the comments, so I know I'm not the only one. And if you're still listening, subscribe. More doors are opening soon.